good morning, good afternoon, and of course, good evening. I think we're on episode 68 of the UK Pinball Podcast, Chinwag Thingamajiggy. I've got Alan with me today, and I'll tell you a little. I'll tell you a little story. Before we start, so we get the context, and then Alan could come in and give his version of events. So last year at Pinfest, Pinfest 2022. I went down for breakfast, lovely breakfast, eat all you can breakfast at Pinfest. So I went down there and filled my plate up twice, like everybody does. And I went and sat down, and you're always looking around for a table. And I went and sat down. It was myself and it was Craig Pullen. And we went and sat down with the chat that you can I can't work it out. By the way, the screen is in reverse. I can't work out whether it's to my right or my left. Yes, that way. That guy there, basically him. Alan. So he was sat down at the table, myself and Craig went and sat down with him. And you just been to the cricket, hadn't you, Alan? Is that right?
That's right, yeah. That was that the Saturday morning, Chris, if I remember rightly?
Yes. I
think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, so we'd been to the cricket on the Thursday, actually. Yeah, that's right. And travelled the rest of the way. Manchester on Thursday for cricket, and then travelled the rest of the way down on Friday. That's
and
right.
We'd never met before.
No, that's right. That's absolutely right. Obviously, I recognised you from your podcast and stuff. And you were doing that kind of like the thing you used to do in high school with your tray, looking for who you're going to sit beside. So
I was looking for a mate.
Yeah, that's right. And I was sitting on my own as well, so it worked out fine.
We were both looking for a friend, weren't we? Absolutely. Exactly. And so, yeah, sat down. And obviously had a chat about the cricket, which Alan had been to. Had a little chat about pinball. And that was that really, you know, you go to Pinfest, you're going to end up chatting with lots of different people. It's a great place to go, and it's coming up
Absolutely.
soon. So are you going, by the way?
Yes, I am going, and it's in the calendar, and I cannot wait, to be honest with you. It seems like August is dragging in. I don't know what it's like for you, but yeah, I'm going down on the Friday. Plan is to leave early Friday, drive down, and then come up Sunday as soon as it's all finished. So
you've got no football for you that weekend?
Nope, no football. I've got the weekend clear, so it's great. Excellent. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Alan is a referee, as we've just been discussing.
Shh, I told you not to tell anybody that.
Yeah, so as you say, you better. In fact, the irony of the next part, knowing Alan as a referee, the irony of the next part of the story. So anyway, we both entered the competition, sort of the main competition with the main bank of games at Pinfest, as most people did. And somehow I managed to fluke my way through qualifying and get to the knockout stages. And I actually, it was quite bizarre. I got drawn against Alan. And I'd only just met him the day before. And I'm like, hey, you know, so basically you're into the playoffs then. So best out of three, isn't it, Alan?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, over 3 games, that's right. And I believe you had the advantage of one of the games being your own game.
I did. It's true. Not that particularly helps. So you would think having some advantage on that would be some form of assistance to me. Well, anyway, I went up to the game. I addressed the game. I pressed the button, and had. I thought was a decent first ball. It felt like a decent first ball.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Absolutely.
And I'd made the biggest schoolboy error in the world. I'd not pressed the button twice, which is obviously what you've got to do for a game of doubles. And I was just so not used to it. Oh, honestly, I could have died at the time. Alan took it incredibly well, because we had to basically restart the game. And I've apologised. I must have apologised to him 20 times on the day.
You certainly did.
In public now, let me apologise again, Alan. What was that like for you?
Well, the funny thing is, Chris, and I'm sure I actually said to you at the time, I probably would have done the same thing myself if I'd been playing first, because it was certainly my first competition, and I believe it was it your first one as well? I don't know.
No, I played the year before. It was definitely the first time I'd ever got to a knockout in anything.
Right, okay. But yeah, if it wasn't you, then it probably would have been me. But it was quite surreal, because I actually stepping up to the machine, and then I go, oh, it's still showing player 1. And I was just like, oh, what's happened here then? I didn't actually twig as well straight away. So, yeah, it was funny at the time, actually. I found the funny side at the time, and I still find the funny side now.
It's now become a funny story, but it was horrendous at the time.
Oh, you were mortified. I do remember you just being absolutely mortified and being so apologetic. But as I said to you at the time, I really wasn't that bothered. in terms of, I wasn't taking it too seriously anyway. So,
but you did well. You beat me, and then you got through. Who did you play next?
Apologies if I pronounce this wrong. Yen.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So I played Yen in the next round and managed to get through against him. And played Brad Atwood, again, a London pinball.
Two good players. You faced me, and then you faced two good players.
Oh, no, not at all. Don't sell yourself short. So, yeah, managed a wee bit of luck, I think, as you always need against Yen, and got through. I managed to get through against Yen, and then I got to the semi-final against Brad. And amazing. Brad won 2 out of 3, so I managed to win the first one, but he managed to win the last 2, so which was great, and I was delighted to get as far as I did, actually, and I wasn't expecting it. So
it's an amazing performance, actually. It was, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to remotely pretend that I wouldn't have wanted to go further. Of course. But it was a relief, actually, in a funny. So it was amazing, actually.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. Okay, right now I can watch. Now I can watch everybody else from a, it was just so interesting watching that all unfold, and I'd watched it the year before as well. It's amazing watching people. Some people some people you don't. Just watching how people react. Some of the games play horrendously difficult. Absolutely.
Wayne, what Wayne and Paul do to those games, it's borderline abuse, fellas.
Yes,
I got Batman back here.
Yeah.
It hadn't really occurred to me what they do, but you got the posts in the outlay between the
outline posts. Yeah,
they take the rubbers off of them.
Yeah,
and I didn't know.
It can kind of deaden the bounce a wee bit off them and make it fall down outline, can't it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got Batman back here.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sort of set it up and started playing with it. And it hadn't occurred to me, oh my goodness, I'm useless.
Yeah,
I've got worse. And it wasn't until I actually, put the rubbers back on and sorted out the tilt bob and, did all, just got the machine. So it was in non-brutal mode that it was playing. It was playing mode again. Do you remember how badly Fishtails was
playing? I do absolutely remember Fishtails. I remember playing you at Fishtails in the one of the early rounds, and also I remember was it Dan had brought his Lethal Weapon?
Yeah,
and that particularly played very hard, and a lot different from home or what you would have set up at home for home use, certainly, and especially if you've got kids and you want to encourage your kids to play and stuff, you kind of set up a wee bit easier for them. So yeah, it did open my eyes a wee bit, how difficult the machines were, and also the different playing styles of the different players as well. Particularly turning up on Friday evening and going up to have a look at the tournament machines with one eye of entering the tournament on the Saturday. Seeing some of the guys really move the machines was something I was completely alien to as well. So it definitely opened my eyes the whole tournament in general, actually.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the first time I saw was actually Wayne, and it was at the Pinfest the year before. And I took Deadpool there, and it was watching him play Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, wow, right, okay, this is just something I have to learn. Obviously you can never learn all of it, but I have to start moving this machine, and it will anyone that's played pinball that's not a fantastic player will know this feeling. Sometimes you're just frozen by fear, and you just watch the ball drain down the middle, and afterwards I should have done something then.
Yeah, caught in the headlights, absolutely.
Yeah, so you didn't know you were going to go into the competition?
Well, I kind of had an eye on putting it. I wasn't sure because of how long the tournament would take and stuff, and I wasn't sure if we were going to come up earlier on the Sunday, you see. But then I thought, well, I may as well have a go. And I'd had a look at the scores that kind of, the London Pinball kind of weekly meeting and stuff, and the scores that they put up at the tournaments on a Thursday. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm not a million miles away from there. So I kind of had a rough idea that I would be able to compete reasonably, anyway, at least, So that's why we ended up going for it, yeah.
But you'd never played again. I'm not talking about home with your mates. I'm talking about, had you played a competitive game?
No. And to this day, it's still the only competitive one I've played because I haven't played one since. So it's literally been the only competitive experience I've had. So it will be number 2 or maybe number 3 because I might enter the classics on Saturday actually as well this time. So
Yeah, well, the classics looks absolutely amazing. But I tell you what, it can. I'll tell you a little story. A friend of mine is one of the best arm wrestlers in the country. He's absolutely amazing. I've seen him beat people 3 times his size. In fact, he's even won us things before by. He won us a day jet skiing once by basically saying, okay, if I beat you at an arm wrestle, can we have the jet skis? Honestly, a great guy. Anyway, so I'm not strong at all in any way, shape, or form, and I never ever arm wrestled him. And then one day we were on the razzle. We were actually out in Blackpool, and he got smashed. I mean, he got absolutely hammered. He was slurring his words and all the rest of it. And I said to him, should we have an arm wrestle, mate? And yeah, like they say, he's all sort of like this. I went bang, and I put him down, and he suddenly woke up and hold on, no, we'll do it again. I said no, we'll never. And said,
you need to retire now.
But I did. That's the only arm wrestle I ever had, and it'd break my arm if we tried it again. So yeah, but no, I don't blame you for going in on the classics as well. So let's go back to the start of your pinball journey, Alan, I think.
Okay.
So talk me through it. First time you've seen a pinball machine or first time you're aware of it?
I think probably when I was young, maybe 10, 11, when we first went to France. Now, this is probably about 93, 94. Now, that was probably the first time I seen a pinball machine. We used to go to the campsites, camping, and travel around France. And it seemed like every bar or every kind of little cafe had a pinball machine in it in France. So my first memories are Star Trek The Next Generation.
Okay.
Playing that in a cafe. Royal Rumble. That sort of era. And bizarrely Torpedo Alley as well, which is a wee bit older. And Whirlwind. Those are the 4 ones that kind of stick in my memory. I remember definitely playing them in France. The first time we went to France on holiday.
And did either any of those themes? Did you like wrestling or did you like Star Trek? Did any of those things?
Certainly when I was younger, everybody was into wrestling and that, definitely. Sure. Yeah, for sure. And so, but it was always very limited to. Well, we're only on holiday for 3 weeks, and then you come back home to Scotland and there's very little pinball at all. So really, apart from going, we went to France maybe 2 or 3 times around about that period. So that was really the only pinball I had in the summer then. And really, to be honest with you, it wasn't till 5 years ago I actually seen pinball again in Scotland, and I was like, oh. And that kind of really, it was an HMV. One of the local HMVs had a pin. And I'm going to be embarrassed to say I can't remember which one it was.
I'm surprised as many people remember that do, actually, yeah.
Yeah, had a go on that, and I was like, oh, you know what? This is great. I remember this now. And up till that point, it was very much pinball arcade. I always was a PlayStation sort of kid, and so had pinball arcade and had all the pinball games and stuff. But of course, it's very different to real life pinball. And then it wasn't until a friend of mine, Mark Horsburgh, who's Horsey on the forum, he put a couple of pictures up on his Facebook page with his 2 pinball machines in his garage. And I was like, oh, this looks great. And I was like, and I haven't played it in HMV, and then I had a wee look and found another couple of pinball machines that were local. I was like, oh, I need to get myself involved in this again. So yeah, and had to save quite a bit of money for me anyway. And Spiderman was my first purchase, brought off Collie Wobbles. And that was the first machine I got. And unfortunately for me, we don't have a lot of space, and we don't have a lot of cash either. So we're limited to 1 at a time. So, but Spiderman was my first, and it was great, absolutely great to have a machine in the house to actually be able to play and not have to travel, to go and play elsewhere.
Before you bought that, you said Horsey? Did you go to his house?
Didn't actually, because I meant to, and I was intending to, but there was kind of an arcade that was quite close to us that had it was just before COVID, or at a certain stage of COVID, where certain areas in Scotland you couldn't go to arcades, but this one you could. They had 8 pinball machines up there through Paisley Pinball. So that was great to try a few different ones out actually, and get a rough idea. Oh, I kind of like this one. I'm not so keen on this one. So yeah, I know the kind of stars aligned as well. Colin had been doing that particular Spider-Man up, and I'd kind of said to him a few months ago, "Oh, bear me in mind." Kind of hoping to have the money sitting there, and yeah, he did. And Colin's a great guy.
He is.
Gave me a wee bit of aftercare service as well, which not everybody would do, and gave me the time to kind of talk me through kind of general repairs and maintenance and stuff. So I've got a lot to thank him for, to be honest with you.
You need that, actually. You need that. I bought my first game off a guy called Neil Fellender.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I phoned him up. How'd you have the play filled up, and how'd you do this? And honestly, I didn't have a clue, on how to do. I remember the ball getting stuck. I mean, I didn't know what to do, and bless him, he said, and he was in Bristol, which is 2 hours away, and he said, I'll drive up if you want. I said, no, it's cool. We'll try and sort it out. So I think you need that sort of a bit of help at the start.
Oh, absolutely. So,
but what I'm interested in this before you get in Spider-Man off Cole, you realise, because there's this whole other section as I found it, which is you realise you might want one, realise you might get involved. Obviously, you've already realised it's something you can have at your house because you've seen your mates posted it on Facebook. But there's another thing. At what point did you go down that rabbit hole of looking at videos and then joining the forum and that sort of thing? That's a whole other part of the pinball journey. Absolutely.
And to be honest with you, I think I'd looked at pinball machines before I found the forum as well. And it wasn't until I spoke to Horsey, I think, that he mentioned the forum. And I think I'd looked at prices on Home Leisure Direct or one of those sites.
We've all done that, haven't we, to start with?
And that was my first, and I was like, oh wow, that's just a pipe dream. Those prices, to me, I was just like, even the bottom line ones, I was like, oh no, there's no way. And then it wasn't until I found the forum, and then I can't remember which one of the pins I seen, I was like, oh, that's £2,000 or £3,000 cheaper than what I'd previously seen. And I was like, actually, that is a possibility then. So that was very much, that was when I thought, actually, that is a possibility. So, and there was that kind of crossover from looking online and thinking, actually, that's not going to happen, to, well, this possibly could happen. But kind of chanced upon the forum through Mark, really. So wouldn't have really found the forum otherwise. Yeah.
I nearly did it. I was so, I'm not even sure I said this on video before, I was so close to buying a Lord of the Rings off of either Liberty Games or Home Leisure Direct on finance. And looking back now, so this would have been in 2018, would have been about $5,500, and then obviously there would have been interest on that finance as well. And I remember the conversation really well. It was, as I actually spoke to them, and I said, do you have it in stock? They said, no, we don't have it in stock just yet, but we've located one. And it was coming out of a bar in a rugby club. Right, so this thing was so it had obviously been on location, and they couldn't verify anything in particular. And they said, it'll come in, it'll go for our 250 point check. And now I know a little bit. Now I've seen, I've stripped a pinball machine down myself. I'm working with Ant at the moment. I now see that 250 point check for what it probably is, which is, there's no way they could validate how good or bad that machine was going to be. And I thought,
of course,
man, I might have committed myself to $7,500 over 5 years or something. For this crazy, game, which could have been an absolute wreck,
Yeah, absolutely. So that was kind of where you get lured. I got lured in a sense of possibly, and then I'd seen the finance option as well, but then I was like, realistically, I says that's far too much. But then, so the forum, which is, it's incredible, it really is. And everybody always seems so helpful as well. All your questions and, this part's broken, or can I get a wee bit of advice on this? But so it was really the price difference that made it viable. And a lot of persuasion to the wife as well, of course.
Well, that's something. That'd be an interesting. It'd be an interesting video in itself, just short stories of what have you've done to to convince your partner.
Hot tub is the answer to that one, Chris. We got a hot tub as well, so that was a payoff.
Well, how many people have done? We've all done this, haven't we? We've all done this. Mine was a holiday.
Right. Okay.
You can get that, but we're going on holiday. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll deal with that. You sort of do have to do it, don't you? Really? And it's really interesting. I've had people. I've had pinball machines here, Tombstone, for a month, dropped off because someone doesn't, and because someone doesn't know they want their wife to know this machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but I can't. I've not got. This looks far more grand than it is. It's just a shed at the bottom of the garden, right? I've not got a big house at all. Right, I live in a small house. Oh God, I can't have that machine in here, please. All right, well, okay. But we'll do it. Just because they don't want their wife to know they've got. Yeah. They've got their 11th machine or something like that. So it is really, really funny. And I do, on the forum, I think the forum is such a tremendous resource. I was saying this the other day. It's not just a forum and things to check. So the other day, a couple of weeks ago, I was looking for some stencils for the 8-Ball Deluxe. And I went on there, where am I going to get these from? Well, you know what? I found the thread, I found the supplier. Because obviously, don't get me wrong, Pinside is a really good resource, but we need stuff in the UK.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, just for things like that, it's all there. The search bar works. There it is. And I actually ordered them, and they're from Chris, and thank you for sending them through, Chris, by the way. You've got my stencils to do the cabinet on 8-Ball Deluxe. So the forum is a really, really good thing to find. So your first game, Spiderman. That's a great game, Alan. Great game.
I know, it really is. And I actually miss it dearly, to be honest with you. It really, I went for it on recommendations because I quite like my games to have a lot of flow. I don't really like this kind of stop-start. And I think as well, with the Lyman's code in it as well, the code is surprisingly deep for quite an earlier game. And I still remember doubling up the points after you complete a mode, and then being able to put a triple on a certain shot in that as well, which I've used on Guardians of the Galaxy as well. And it's great. It's really a stroke of genius, and I really got a lot of mileage out of Spider-Man, particularly with being your first as well. But when I've only really got space for one, you need your pin to last, if that makes sense, in terms of how long am I going to get longevity out of this before I want to think, I need another. I needed something different now. So I think I had it for 6-8 months actually, which is
what do you remember when it was during COVID you bought it, right?
Yeah, around about COVID. I can't remember exactly, but it must have been 3 years ago now. But what a great first game. And the difference now between and I know you've touched on this in your podcasts and stuff, the difference now with the mechs and Spider-Man, even with the gate that comes up and Dr. Octopus comes up and down and Sandman and stuff as well, in comparison to now is night and day. And it's a good value, I think. Still, if you can say that about a pinball machine, I don't know just now, but I would say Spider-Man probably is just about.
I think when you get into something, whatever it is, you sort of do lose a little bit a track of money. It's like I've done this is my second. My earlier podcast I did earlier was a West Ham one, and I found myself suggesting that this player who costs £37 million was good value.
It was good value. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I know.
So I've lost all. It is. So anyone looking in would think, what that box of lights there is how much?
You lose rational thought, don't you?
You do. I sort of always hope you lose a lot less money. You lose a lot less money on a pinball machine than West Ham seem to do on football players. That's
well, yeah. That's,
I guess that remains to be seen. So it must have played that game to death.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Playing that game pretty much every day.
Well, yeah, certainly to start with. First couple of months for sure, definitely.
And what about your situation at home? Was everybody playing Spider-Man?
Very little. Can't get my wife into it. Still can't get her into it. She played a couple of games. This is too hard, and that was that. Kids played a little initially, but again, they'd rather sit and play Xbox or their iPads, or
it's hard.
So that's what we're up against. So I've kind of given up with the kids a wee bit. I've always tried to get pinballs in that I think they'll like, maybe other than Metallica actually. But yeah, so I can't get the kids into it, unfortunately, and I think that's a common theme. I see people comment on the forum, the kids, and they play a wee bit, but they're really not that into it. It's a constant battle. So Spiderman left after about 6 or 8 months and replaced with Jurassic Park, which I loved. Again, I loved the flow. A lot of people don't like it. I know it gets a wee bit of a hard time on the forum sometimes. I don't know if it's maybe too difficult for someone, maybe too complicated, or maybe a bit of both.
I think both of those would do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, I would say the first 2 weeks I played Jurassic Park, I really struggled with it. And to the point where I was like, have I done the right thing getting this? But once I kind of got the shots dialed in a wee bit and learned the intricacies of the code and instructions and stuff, it's a masterpiece, it really is. And I would have it back in a second. Loved Jurassic Park. Absolutely loved it.
It is an amazing game, and I've actually had it twice. And I probably would have it back a third time, because I often think, you know what, you hopefully you improve as a player.
And it does make you improve. That's actually what I was going to say. That's what I had in the run up to Pinfest.
Okay.
So that's what I had to practice on. And luckily, Jurassic Park was in the qualifying bank actually, or I probably wouldn't have qualified if it hadn't been.
Yeah.
Because you know it inside out. And
yes.
I think it was it Andy's Jurassic Park? I think was it Pinfest? I think.
It was Andy's. Andy's, yes.
And it was in pretty similar playing style to mine.
Sure.
All the shots were where I was expecting them to be. So that was a huge help in the run up to Pinfest. Actually, I would say coming off of Jurassic Park, which was all I had to play at the time, and then coming on to play some of the other machines and some of the classics, I was like, wow, that ramp's really wide. Some of the shots I thought were like motorways almost, and now obviously they're not, and you can still miss them.
Yes.
But in comparison to the Jurassic Park, I was like, this is so much easier.
Well, that right ramp on Jurassic Park, the spiral one, is very tight. And then is it the O shot to the right?
Absolutely, the right orbit as well.
That's
incredibly
really tight.
Yeah. So in comparison, a lot of the shots in other machines, I was like, this is a wee bit easier. And like going into Godzilla, for example, again in the qualifying bank, I was like, night and day. This is great. So yeah, Jurassic Park definitely. If you're and somebody, I think it was V actually asked in the forum, what games will improve your pinball? Jurassic Park. I remember
the thread. Yeah.
Jurassic Park, definitely a big tick.
Yeah. No, it is an amazing game. It's a fantastic game, but it is hard. And I think the one thing I'd level against it, I think the shots are really good. I think the shots are some really rewarding shots. They feel great. I think for new people, it's not intuitive.
Absolutely.
The map is complicated, what you've got to do. And I think for any pinball machine, you've got to pass that with Attack from Mars test or Monster.
Yeah.
You can explain Monster Bash in 30 seconds to somebody.
Absolutely.
Okay, I get it, fine. And they haven't got, no one's ever asking what's the Frankenstein shot. What's the Dracula shot? No one's asking it. It's obvious.
Yeah.
So I find it's not as intuitive, but I would also have Jurassic Park back. I think it's you can't say it's underrated, because I think it's probably in the top. Is it in the top 5 on Pinside? I'd imagine.
Well, I've not looked at the top 5, 10 for a while, but it certainly always used to be. When I got it, I think it was second or third on the list. So obviously, it's very popular, isn't it?
You know what? I'm going
on some level.
One's the technology. I'm going to look now. So
we need a drum roll for this, maybe.
Yeah. So Godzilla is top. Medieval Madness second. Foo Fighters is third. Jurassic Park fourth. Right. I'll do the top 10. Attack from Mars 5. Deadpool 6. Iron Maiden 7. Elvira House of Horrors 8. 9 Star Trek, obviously the Stern one, and then 10 Monster Bash. So I mean, it's interesting. It's really interesting looking at that. And you're never going to agree with all of those. That's one thing.
No, of course not. Absolutely not. And that's what makes it so interesting. Those there'll be pins that some people love that I particularly don't like, and then vice versa.
Yeah, but there's some great pins. It's just even in that top 10.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Do you have a dream pin? Do you, Alan?
I don't know if it's a dream pin, but maybe a dream collection for me. Maybe.
Oh, come on,
I wouldn't say so much a dream pin, because I play so many of them, and realistically, for me anyway, they're never going to stay forever. Because I've got Godzilla at the moment and love it. the flow is great, and I've set it to no extra balls on the hope of being able to finish it, and I haven't got there yet because this is just to make it last as long as it can, basically.
For sure.
So there's no extra balls. I don't move on to a monster until I've finished it, sort of thing.
For sure, yes.
Yeah, so I know you can kind of skip and move on to the next city, but I've never done that, so I've always tried to get to the end. So if I haven't got there yet on free balls, I think I was down to the last monster and of course choked. Or the last city, I should say, on free balls, but didn't quite get there. So I've not finished it yet, but hopefully.
Do you try and max out the city? So do you try and do on every city? Try and do the bridge and the tanks?
No, I must admit I don't do that. I just kind of focus on let's finish the monsters and finish each city by each monster defeated, and kind of do finish the multi-ball, or both the Mecha multi-ball, I should say, and the Godzilla multi-ball. Try and complete them if you like. Yeah, for sure. So I get to the end with everything complete, if that makes sense. So, but I haven't done it yet. So we keep working. But
it's an amazing pinball machine. Yeah. So sorry, your
original kind of question. I think I would I keep Godzilla in my. I mean, I've probably got space for three. My wife obviously would disagree, but I would probably have three machines. The Godzilla would probably be one of them.
Okay.
I love Whitewater. Really love Whitewater. I don't know if it's the music. There is quite a lot of flow to it as well, and I think that waterfall ramp and hearing it ding off the glass is just. It's just one of those things. I love it. I mean, I actually said to Matt last year, I says, Matt, please bring Whitewater to Pinfest, because nobody had kind of said they were going to bring it, and he did, and I bought him a pint, and I played it a lot actually over the weekend. It's great. Although he only had a shandy though, which surprised me. I had him down as something stronger, but maybe it was for competition purposes. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I bought him a pint for bringing Whitewater. So love that again. So I think I would have that one, and I mean, if you could only pick one from everything, it's a really, really tough choice. I don't know. Another pin that I love is roller games. And again, I know not many people have raised their eyebrows. I think roller games, the music, I love it.
I can't even think of it. Never mind.
Oh, really? Oh,
no.
Oh, well, you need to have. I think they've got one at the club down in. I was going to say
it's like it's got the font going down the side. It's like red and blue and
kind of red, white font, and then. Yeah. It's a Ritchie. I'm sure it's Steve Ritchie, and I kind of love Steve Ritchie's games anyway, like the Getaway and stuff and that as well, you know. So, but I just love the music and that kind of ramp shot, and it holds the ball on the flipper for you and tells you not to flip. Then you have to flip it when it tells you to flip it up the side ramp. I don't. For a third one, I don't know. I quite like Star Trek as well, the new Stern one. Again, Ritchie, the flow.
Yeah.
And I seem to like modes as well in pinball machines. I had Metallica and it didn't stay that long in comparison. I didn't click quite the same. I think it was the modes, whereas like Star Trek, you go in, you pick which mode you like, and the same with Godzilla, you pick your mode. I quite like that. And that seems to be my sort of thing. Quite a lot of flow, but I do like the modes as well. So
you said Metallica, you weren't?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like Metallica and the shots were good and stuff, I just didn't click with it the same. The music didn't. I'm not a huge fan of Metallica anyway.
No.
But that doesn't matter too much, I think. But the layout of Metallica is great, and I love the ramps and the, Sparky, the bash toy is great, I think. But I don't know if it was just a lack of modes. I don't know you've got to kind of crank it up. When you get, you complete and you.
Well, I don't know it well enough. I've probably only played Metallica about 5 times in total.
Yeah,
certainly not enough to know
there's
it.
A kind of crank it up mode, which technically is a mode, but it's almost like a mini wizard mode. So there's only 4 of them, and you have to kind of collect the gravestone markers, and then the Sparky, you have to hit that a certain amount of times. And I just kind of felt it was a wee bit chop and mood at times, for me anyway. And I know Metallica's really popular, so
it is popular, yeah, sure.
But it just wasn't for me. No, really, it just wasn't for me.
Hey, that's okay. That's
I know. That's it, and that's what makes it great, because one person will say, "Well, that's amazing," and then others are like, "Well, not for me."
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people's favourite game, Metallica, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's that thing about theme, isn't it? I think theme is useful on for 2 reasons. I think number one is for teaching you the rules. So Monster Bash is a great example. You know, if you explain the theme, you're going to understand the rules. Attack from Mars. It's the same thing. You explain the theme. The flying saucers are coming over and they're attacking major cities in the world. That's the theme. Well, it's also the rules.
Yeah.
So it's telling you the rules. You know.
Absolutely.
So I think theme is important from that. Is the theme going to teach you the rules? The other thing, which is probably before that stage, is the theme going to entice you? So imagine you've got a full bank of machines, and if what your favourite thing in the whole world is Spider-Man, you just love Spider-Man films, you're going to walk to the Spider-Man machine. So Absolutely. Does the theme hook you in? And I think for me, I don't think the theme either explains the rules in Metallica, and I don't think the theme entices me to the machine. So for that reason, I've just not spent much time with it.
That's an interesting point you make, Chris, about being enticed in, because, for example, Medieval Madness. Now, unless you're a pinhead or know about it, I think the majority of people would walk past it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know we went to Electric Circus on the way to Pinfest last year, and I said to my dad at the time, I says, "Oh well, we're not going to play this one because it's at Pinfest. You know, we're not going to play this one." And it says, "Come on, we'll play this Medieval Madness." And he's like, he looked at it and he's like, "Why?" I says, "Trust me, it's great." And I couldn't get him off it. You know, and I don't think Medieval Madness necessarily entices you to play, because you don't know that the castle explodes, and you don't know about the call-outs and the funny call-outs and how well it's going to shoot. But, you know, it's number one, or very close to being number one for a reason. It's great.
Yeah, no, I'm very sorry to hear about your dad as well.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, that wasn't why I mentioned it, but just obviously we were talking about that, yeah. So, yeah, I appreciate that, Chris, thank you.
No, not at all, mate, not at all. I think the other thing with Medieval Madness is you talk about those call-outs. You're not necessarily hearing those call-outs in an arcade.
No, of course.
They're brilliant.
Yeah, I know, and then you're missing out if you don't. And that was my only thing I would say about Pinfest last year. When I came away, I was slightly disappointed with, was not being able to hear all the machines.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, you know, I'm just looking at the top ones. It all depends, I think, on what films you like. Because so many of these games now are based on films or bands. Something like that is Medieval Madness is the same as Cactus Canyon, or it's the same as Attack from Mars. It's not based on a film, but is that going to draw you in? I mean, certainly look at Cactus Canyon. That would draw me in because I like all that cowboy stuff. It would draw
me in as well.
Yeah, I do. I do love all that. But I think there are certain ones where you're just looking at it now. Would I walk past Indiana Jones? Yeah, I think, I'd want to play that if I saw it. Stranger Things, wow. You know, what an opportunity Stranger Things is if people love that series to draw them in. You look at that and the machine looks so good. And particularly if it's got that UV stuff on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's almost impossible to walk past that machine and not want to play it.
I would agree with you, especially the one at Pinfest last year with the topper on it as well. I'm sure it had the topper on, the premium. And actually walking into the lobby, and you could hear the ding, 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 ding just before I said to my dad, I says, "Oh, we're obviously in the right place." You could hear and it turned out, I was like, wow, what a great looking machine that is. And then managed to embarrass myself on Friday night trying to play it. I think it was Wayne, and I can't remember who else was there actually on the Friday night. And he says, "Oh, come on, we'll have a game now." I didn't really know anybody at that point. Dad was away to bed. And I was like, "Aye, okay." And I'm sure they actually finished it. And I was like, oh, God, so embarrassed and so nervous as well. And I'm sure only got like 10 million or something, which is totally terrible on the Friday night. But I'm going to blame alcohol. But
I'll blame the game, don't I?
But what a great... and it's funny, I didn't expect Pinfest as much. The social side of it surprised me in terms of the Friday night after that was after... the session had closed down, I should say, we were playing. So that social side of it was great. So,
will it be even better this year? Because when that main hall closes, as I'm sure you know, there's going to be pinball machines.
Yeah, I listened to the podcast there you had last week with Phil, and that's going to be great, having machines in the lobby and stuff as well.
Oh, it's going to be really, really good. There'll definitely be some late nights. I certainly got no expectations at a tournament, and I certainly won't be like Mark having a shandy the night before the tournament. No way. I'll be I'll be smashed. They've got a karaoke machine as well. So yeah, I'll probably be drunk and singing, and probably walking back up to those pinball machines at the start of the tournament. And it won't matter actually, because I think I'll get so drunk I won't qualify this year, so I won't have to press the button twice. So was it was Godzilla straight after Jurassic Park?
No, sorry, I missed out Metallica there. So we did.
Oh, you had
Jurassic
Metallica.
Park.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I was saying. I didn't really gel with it as much as I still had it for 4 or 5 months, certainly. So we had Jurassic Park and moved that on, and then had Metallica for 4 or 5 months. And yeah, like I was saying, just didn't quite gel with it. I don't know. I mean, 4 and 5 months is a long time to have a machine, but that you don't really. I mean, I didn't dislike it. I enjoyed it enough, and I enjoyed the gameplay and the ramps and the combos and stuff. But I think it was the lack of modes, to be honest with you, that I just didn't quite think, you know what, this is going to stay longer than it did.
I like a mode as well, actually.
I think I like completing a mode as well. It's it's almost like the achievement of, well, you start the mode, but then you also finish it, because a lot of games and a lot of codes, you can play the mode, and if you lose the ball, you can pick a different one. But
yes,
you get rewarded for finishing the mode.
For sure.
In terms of, you get to then, I don't know, it could be 2 times multiplier on something else, or another bonus for finishing the mode. So
yeah,
that adds another wee challenge into the game itself. So I quite like that. So
well, are you going to be here on Friday?
Yes, I'm traveling.
Well, we'll have a beer, and I'll show you this on the Friday. The Foo Fighters there. It's I've been playing it a lot the last 3 or 4 days. And the reason I've been doing that is my son has declared he's coming to Pinfest, which is great.
Great, super.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm absolutely thrilled. I honestly could not be more pleased because it's a commitment. Because I'm going there from like the Thursday to the Sunday. It's a commitment for him. You know, he can't. We're not near home. He can't pop home if he doesn't like it. But he said no, he really wants to go. And actually, there's one reason for that. Funny enough, there is one reason for that. Well, aside from he wants to spend some time with his dad, of course, but it's Scooby Doo.
Okay.
So we talk about these themes. So Scooby Doo. I mean, and it's just. It's not finished on the code, nowhere near. So, but it is enticing. You do look at it and you think, oh, okay. So that got him playing a little bit again, and he really has sort of mastered that upper playfield on it in particular. Okay. He really has. It's big. It is big.
It does look big. Certainly, I haven't played it myself. I doubt there's probably even one. There only is 1 or 2 in the country, anyway, isn't there?
Yeah, I think that one might be it there.
All right, is it okay?
So yeah, very, very lucky, and thanks to Phil at Pinball Heaven.
Of course.
I mean, I'm so blessed, Alan. I absolutely, I'm such a privileged.
And I must admit, I do look at your podcast very enviously sometimes, and think,
I can't believe it. Honestly, I cannot.
Now.
I cannot believe it. And don't listen. I am not blasé about it at all. I cannot tell you how excited I get. I cannot begin to tell you. Yeah. I mean, there's possibly something landing next week, which
there is something landing next week. Then in that case,
yeah. Well, no. Oh, you just don't know with freight and stuff like that. Let's put it this way. There's something been sent this week. Hopefully,
nice,
there is. So, honestly, I cannot. I'm on YouTube. I'm looking at videos. It's not just a case of me doing videos. I'm looking at other people's videos. I'm looking at games. And anyway, so I'm so lucky to have Scooby Doo here. So Jakey, my son, he starts playing it, and that's really when he started to say it. And he started to say, well, you know what? Maybe I'll come to Pinfest actually. And so he starts asking questions. Because I never push anything at the kids, be it football or I've never pushed anything. You do what you want to do. I'd never want to be a pushy parent, So anyway, so he started saying, okay, so do they have junior competitions? I said, they do, mate. And, and just, so he started playing that. And then once he said he was coming, he said, right, okay. Now, he's played a couple of games on that. Now, also my girlfriend has got children as well, and she's also got a 14-year-old boy. She's got an 11-year-old boy. Now, the 14-year-old boy is a guitar player, and he loves Foo Fighters as well. And even though I had 2 14-year-old boys, my son, her son, and her other son in here, and you'd think, what kid wouldn't like to be,
of course,
doing that? They don't like it. They don't like Foo Fighters because it's, number one, it's too fast. I think number 2, it's not intuitive. And number 3, what is really interesting with Foo Fighters is the ball takes all these paths, and it's 3 separate people have said it. They don't feel like they're doing it because it hits. So they feel, okay, so nice. The ball's doing all that. But I didn't do it. I didn't hit that shot.
Okay, got you.
So whereas there's a lot more satisfaction. You talk about Star Trek, for instance. There's a lot more satisfaction hitting that left ramp and it coming back to the flipper and you hitting it again. You feel that you've achieved. So I think it's lacking a sense of achievement. That.
Oh, okay.
So he said,
I'm looking forward to trying it, I must admit.
Well, yeah, but you've got what you need with that, and you'll be okay. Is you need flipper skills. So anyway, so Jake, well, you do. It's quite, mate. I tell you what, if you're getting close with no extra balls to getting close to the final monster on Godzilla. Hello. He got not got phone skills, but he's got flipper skills.
Oh, I do apologise.
Doesn't matter. So he said to me, okay, I'm coming to Pinfest. Tell me, show me Foo Fighters, explain it to me. So I did, and once he got the rules, and he said, okay, so if and he's also already worked out if he hits that middle target, the drop target, which is on the van, he's going to score more points in the mode. So now he's got something. Now he has an understanding of the rules. And this is why, as I say, it's important theme doing it, being intuitive.
Of course.
To explain that stuff. Now I've explained it, right, okay, so now not only does he like the mode, he's got a favourite mode, and now he's got a system that he's trying to do. He's going to hit a sequence of shots now, and then he's going to try and hit that drop target to make sure his score is boosted. He's going to go into a mode, and if he can, in that mode, get a multi-ball when he's inside the mode. I said, right, now you're thinking. Now you are. Okay. Now you're truly playing pinball, basically.
It sounds like I might need to speak to him actually for some tips.
You might, yeah. Well, you might. Yeah, he's a lovely kid. Actually, he's shy. It'd be good for him. Actually, he's shy. He's a shy boy, so it'd be really good for him to spend.
Absolutely.
The weekend amongst everyone. So yeah, we'll spend some time on that.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
The modes, the modes are really good on it, and it's really grown on me. And it's funny him playing it because I'd sort of got a bit fed up with it. To be fair, him playing it has motivated me, and now. Even though the last 2 nights he's been at his mum's, he hasn't been here the last 2 nights. Spent some time with his mum. I've been here on my own. I've just been playing Foo Fighters on my own. So it's sort of rekindled. Yeah. So what's next for you, mate? What's next for you in terms of games? How long do you think Godzilla will last? Is that a keeper? Oh no, you
it's
one out, one in, isn't it?
One out, one in at the moment. So yes, it is going to go at some point. What it will be replaced with, I do not know at the moment. I loved. I went down to Scott's, who's very close to me. He's on the forum as well and played his TNA and loved it. Didn't think I was going to like it at all, actually. TNA.
Really?
Because no ramps, no flow to speak of, no combos really to speak of. I was like, and he said, I'm going to get it, and I think he got a new box as well. I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, it's going to be great. And it's awesome. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So it's really made me think, actually, do I have a set type of machine that I really like? Because when I went and played his, it's great. TNA's very clever, very simple in terms of what you need to do, and it's quite repetitive what you need to do as well, actually. But what a great game it is. So I don't have anything in mind, really. Ideally, I would like to try and get 2 in rather than 1. It's just space, really. With just space, we're in quite a new build, so that you know what they're like. The new builds are not very big.
Yeah.
So ideally, if I was to pick, I would have Whitewater and Star Trek maybe side by side. The Stern Star Trek, that would probably be ideally what I'd like. But budget wise, we're just about there. But it's space really is a difficult.
Yeah.
But yes, I'll keep Godzilla for a wee while yet. I need to finish it, of course. I can't let it go until I've finished it. So.
Absolutely, and I think you are going to need the depth, or you get. So I mean, funny enough, Whitewater's not particularly mode based.
No, and it's not. Well, no, and I know, and I'm kind of contradicting myself, aren't I? By saying
which is fine. Yeah.
There isn't many modes. I mean, there's a whirlpool mode, isn't there? Which isn't much to speak of. And then there's the mine. But I just think it's so. I think it's a waterfall ramp. It really is. And then see it going down the whirlpool as well. And the kind of randomness of popping out the mine. You know, the kind of what am I trying to say here? On the left hand side, it shoots out you out the mine onto your flipper, and it's always a wee bit random. Exactly.
Oh, it is. It's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. But you can't play the game without having that. You know, that's always going to be there. So out the scoop, I should say. So yeah, I really like that. So I don't know what's next, to be honest with you. But I would certainly like it to be Whitewater. But the difficulty is I wouldn't have that on its own, because I've finished it before, and I think very quickly having it on its own, you would get bored very quickly. I think would be the danger. So it would need to come with another one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's a magnificent game, Whitewater. I think it's just so well designed. I think it's tough, but the rule set is relatively simple. So you're not having massively long games on it.
Yeah. I think that kind of vacation jackpot as well, that kind of, it's almost unachievable. You need to get all the stars to align to get that kind of maximum jackpot as well, is very clever. So that kind of adds to the longevity of it. But to actually, the going through the game, I understand what you're saying about the modes, and there isn't really any. But I don't know, I think it must just be those ramps and those.
I think it is. I also think it's addictive. I think you can have. I like modes as well, but there's something addictive. I keep on pressing the start button on just once on that game. I really do. I think it's an incredibly addictive game. I'd certainly like to have one myself at some point. I don't think I'm giving any secrets away there. That's for sure. But I also think that prices are coming down as well. Obviously, not necessarily new in box. I think prices are coming down just because it's tough,
everybody's feeling the pinch a wee bit, isn't it? I think certainly the COVID bubble where people had spare income is certainly diminished, if not burst completely. Maybe not burst, but certainly there's less expendable income across the board. I would say I think that's probably a fair comment. So I do see prices slowing down, and I do see pins up for sale a lot longer than they used to be, and
more often. It's what we see two or three monster bashes recently, I think.
Absolutely.
I was just chatting with Ant actually about, there was a Deadpool LE came up. And I mean, it did go and it got sold. And Ant was saying to me, that might have sold within seconds, a year ago. But actually, I don't even think it would have come up a year ago.
Everybody knew somebody that was wanting something, didn't they? So a lot of things sold kind of out with forum kind of threads, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot, even if you go on now, there's a lot of games still for sale. So, I think it's probably not a great time to be selling, but a good time to be buying, if you can. But so I do think, if you did, you could get two.
Yeah, I know. It's just space. It's just space, and a bit of convincing for the wife. I'm not buying another hot tub,
No, it'd be greedy to want to, wouldn't it? To be fair, she'd struggle to justify that, but she'd probably say, "Well, hold on a second. Yeah, you can't play two pinball machines at the same time.
Maybe a holiday somewhere."
That's probably the one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Alan, it's been a delight, my friend, an absolute delight.
It's been great to catch up with you, Chris. It's good to speak to you.
Sorry it took so long.
No, hey, I know not quite the celebrities you've been having on recently, unfortunately.
Oh, you can't call Spencer a celebrity.
Yeah, of course. But I've enjoyed it, Chris. It's always good to speak pinball with like-minded people.
Well, we're going to get to do a lot of it, mate, aren't we? So,
I know, and I'm really looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Today, the 10th. Yeah, there we go. Couple of weeks. Yeah, be brilliant. I can't wait, mate. I can't wait. Really looking forward to seeing you then, mate. Well, I'll show you, because that's in the tournament.
Oh, is it that one that's in the tournament?
Yeah.
So you managed to do that again to boost your chances, have you? Very clever.
You got to do what you got to do. It was, I mean, I think there was it last? Yeah, there was. I had Jurassic Park last year as well, and there was Godzilla.
Batman 66, wasn't it? Yeah.
Batman 66 was my game. So there were 3 games that I sort of knew there. In the end, I did so badly. Actually, you talk about Jurassic Park. I did so badly on Jurassic Park. Oh, was it? Yeah. In the end, I scraped through by playing Turtles, which I'd never played before.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Because I was doing so badly in the others, and I remember saying to Craig and saying to Rich, "I need to choose a game. I need to choose a game." Basically, and it was those 2 guys that steered me towards Turtles, sort of took me through it as I was playing it as well. Really, so I was very lucky. I'm. Are you looking forward to the tournament this time?
Yeah, of course I am, and you kind of learn from previous experience, I should say, and I am. I'm looking forward to it. I've had a wee look at the games that are on offer. I haven't played them all, which is always the kind of the disadvantage, of course. But looking forward to it. There's some like Metallica. I think Metallica's in the competition bank, and I think Iron Man as well. So there's kind of some games that are a wee bit more on the difficult side as well. So
I didn't know Metallica. Oh, there you go. So Metallica, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'm sure Colin and Ailsa are bringing Metallica down for the competition. So I've actually played that one before, so I've got good memories.
Indeed.
Yeah, so looking forward to playing that. Yeah.
Oh, nice one. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you. Looking forward to seeing everybody else.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely great to see familiar faces again. Absolutely.
It will be good. It will be good fun. And just so as you know, Friday night is the VIP night, and you're going to get access. The only time you'll get access to that competition banker machine. So if you are going to play the tournament, and you're not entirely sure on every machine, which I'm certainly not myself, then that's a really good time to not only practice them and learn a game you don't know, but see how each individual game's playing, see how Wayne and Paul have ruined. You go basically, honestly, it'd be like Everest. The games are like Everest. There'd be no rubber in them at all. I'm surprised they leave rubber on the flippers. Basically, the thing those boys do, it's absolutely disgrace.
Yeah, they do set them up quite hard, but I suppose you don't want the tournament running too long. But
well, no. What you don't need is what you don't need is somebody really, really good getting extra balls on Lord of the Rings, do you?
Craig playing Godzilla for an hour or something, maybe.
70 minutes, yeah. 70 minutes.
You don't want that in a tournament.
No, and that was a doubles. That was a doubles game. To be fair, but I think it was Gene. Gene was next. I always felt I would have walked off. You know,
well, I would be hammered by the time I'd be standing there drinking, waiting for my turn, and I'd be hammered by the time you'd finish. You know, so.
And would it just be sod's law if you were playing with somebody that's having a game like that, and it'd be your? I bet you'd just go straight down the middle straight away, wouldn't it?
Oh well, actually, Yen was bad enough. Actually, when I actually played him in the tournament, we played on Godzilla, and I know he has Godzilla in the house, or he did at the time, and I'm sure he put up 900 million, and he only played 2 balls, and I was sitting there thinking, oh, this is great, this.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe not quite the Craig's 70-minute standard, but that felt long enough last year, I must admit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you once again, Alan. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure for me too. I look forward to seeing you all. Is Scooby-Doo making it up to Pinfest or not?
No, I don't think so. I think we're I think we're bringing. I only say we're because I do believe I am bringing something up there for Pinball Heaven. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think it's good. But the thing is, I don't want to get
anybody
over it. I don't want to say the wrong thing, and so I'm trying to be secretive. I don't want to say no and we are bringing it, or say yes and we're bringing something else. So
not. I mean, Phil's so generous with the pins he donates anyway, so I'm really looking forward to playing them all again. Actually, it'll be great.
Yes, for 4 or 5, I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, should be
great stuff.
Should be a good one. Alan, cheers, matey.
Thanks again, Chris. Appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure, mate. See you soon.
Cheers. Thank you.